Okay, hello everybody, good evening, welcome back to another episode of Sporty Spotlight. We've got, honestly, quite an exciting one tonight. I just want to say thank you to John for setting this up. This is absolutely immense. It is with immense pleasure, I welcome to the podcast, Mr. Wayne Jones. Wow.
Good evening. Thank you for the intro, very exciting.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, mate. This is absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, just gonna chat about the turf. I was managed to get down there in the summer just for a quick drink, and it was an absolutely great. You know, great drinks, and you know, wasn't able to get a game of pool in, but I did manage to put a sneaky little sticker outside where all the away ones go. And so, yeah, what is your favourite thing about your pub?
Oh, good question. Well, I'm glad you managed to come and see it in person. It to me, it is just work. But my favourite thing would probably be the people. Listen, the bricks and mortar they've been there for 200 years. But that will remain. People come and go, and you have to enjoy the people. And the people are fantastically friendly, warm, welcoming. So I'd have to have a nod to the people.
Yeah, of course, the people that basically they're pretty much the rock on which WREXHAM is built, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, without the people, there's not a lot in this world, is there?
No, absolutely not. So, how did it come to begin? So, how did you become to, take the reins at the pub next to the racecourse?
Yeah, so the building is owned by a company called Admiral Taverns. At the time, it was owned by a company called Marston's. A lot of your listeners will know both of them companies. And then when I was 21, I tragically broke my leg twice in a year playing local football, both on the same day. So the 2nd of June 2001 and the 2nd of June 2002. And after the second break, I sat in the turf where my parents frequented and said to my best friend, when I'm out of this plaster Paris, I'm going to go and travel the world. So that's what I did. I set off. I did 2.5, 3 years around Australia, Southeast Asia, South America, and then I happened to come home to the UK because my uncle was getting married to my auntie in Greece. And whilst I was there, I kind of just thought, well, I'm only a 3-hour flight from home. That's the closest I'd been in 3 years. I'll pop home and see my mum and dad. And I came home and I got chatting to the then guy Dave Thomas, who used to also run the football club. He ran the pub and was telling me he was starting up. And I kind of said to my mum and dad, and they said it's about time you put some roots down. So borrowed every penny I could with my best friend, and we bought the tenancy, and here we are 17 years later.
Absolutely, that's a lovely little story there. And can I just say though, it is a shame that you broke both legs, because I'm sure people were probably calling you the WREXHAM Ronaldinho.
No, they most certainly weren't. I think I was a better footballer when my legs were broke, if I'm honest.
Oh God. But yeah, everything happens for a reason, I suppose. So yeah, what would you say is like your favourite aspect of being a publican, and what do you think proves to be like the biggest challenge of it? Because it's a lot of hard work, of course.
Yeah, the best aspect is, obviously I'm self-employed, so people think that that's a doddle. It's really not. It brings its own set of challenges. I have 12, 13 staff that rely on me for their income, to pay their own bills and whatnot and things like that. So I enjoy the element of freedom that it brings. I necessarily don't answer to anybody. I guess I answer to the public, but I don't really have a boss per se, apart from the wife. I enjoy the freedom of it. If I want to go and have a game of golf, if I'm having a bad week or something, I can generally find the time to go and do that. But the hard side to it is that it's a 24-hour job. You never really off. Even when I go on holiday like I did 2 weeks ago, I'm still checking it on my phone every couple of hours. You never really, when it's yours effectively, you never really get to switch off. If you work for a company and you work 9 till 5, my mate, then you can turn off your computer, Randall, for 5 o'clock, and you can forget about it until Monday morning. I don't have that luxury. I always got to be switched on. And although it's a very friendly pub, ultimately it's a building where people drink alcohol. You always have to have your guards around you and things like that. But yeah, listen, I love it. It's my dream job. I didn't make it as a footballer with or without legs. So therefore my next best job would be to. I don't drink as much beer as I used to, but I get to have a couple of pints over the weekend with the guys, and I get to talk football and talk Wrexham. And the talk this week has been Norwich, and it's exciting that we're at this level. So, listen, it brings a lot of challenges. There's a lot of responsibility, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist to make sure things are right. But overall, I love it. It's a great job.
Yeah, lovely job. And so before we get onto the stuff about what's going on right now, and of course Norwich at the weekend, we've all got, I suppose every football fan has got their stories of how they grew to fall in love with their club. If you want to hear mine, is I just because I sort of went off football for ages. I used to sort of like Man City when I was younger, but it was only because of Sergio Aguero, who is still definitely my favourite footballer of all time. Well, there's not really any dispute about that. And then a couple of years ago, I just started to go into Norwich games, and I've just loved it ever since, really. And it's sort of thing that's made me able to connect with people of my age. And so what's your story? So how did you get into football, and what sort of things, I mean, everyone's got their their dad supported them, everyone else supported them. What's your story of how you became a Red Dragon in the first place?
Yeah, of course. I mean, firstly, I'd just like to say I feel very sorry for you being a Man City fan. I'm glad you've grown out of that phase, but
God, no, that was never going to was never going to last. It's more like, I'll tell you what, Mark Goldbridge. I never felt any connection, just like him, and it's all the way over there in the northwest. I'm down here in East Anglia, and that's my rusty cup there. Norwich
is the club for you. Good man. Well, you'll be happy with Norwich, I would imagine.
Yes.
So my story is we used to live in an area called Kaya Park, which was about 3 miles from the stadium. And when I was about 11, my parents moved us to a house that is a 15-second walk away from the turf, literally where the petrol station was. If you've seen that across from the main stand, it was a new housing complex there. So we moved there. And back in them days, they used to open the Cop was then open and available. They used to open the Cop gates probably about 10 minutes before the end. So you'd get a lot of people leaving, generally because we weren't very good in them days. And then you would always have a posse of about 100 people outside the gates waiting to get in for free to see the last 10 minutes. And one evening on Tuesday night, I remember it fondly. We played Blackpool. I went in, they opened the Cop gates in about 18 minutes. We were allowed to walk in and stand because it was standing then. And I remember walking in, it was 3-3, and I just remember the smell of the food. I remember the floodlights. And I remember us scoring a very last minute winner to make it 4-3, and I was hooked from that very second. And then the following Saturday, I stuck to Crew Alexandra on the supporters coach. The following season, I snuck to Crew Alexandra on the supporters coach with my uncle. Didn't tell my mum and dad. And I've just been following them ever since. I mean, we've had 25 years of absolute misery, but they're my team. You cut me open, I have Wrexham running through me in the good, the bad, the ugly. It's just like you are now, like millions of people, like the pair of us. We're football fans, and I just love it. I love the people. I love the smell of it. I love the atmosphere. I love the banter on a match day. I just love everything about it. And I'll be brutally honest, parts of the game at the top level are starting to frustrate me a little bit, if I'm being honest. But that's not anything Wrexham fans have got to worry about, especially this season and probably not next season. So, I just love the game and everything about it. And I've just been a football fan since I could kick a ball, basically.
Hey, so just rewinding a bit. So Crew Alexandra was your first away day, was it?
Crew Alexandra was my first away day, and to top it off, Robbie Savage, who's very much maligned in the footballing world, is a Wrexham guy.
Of course.
Wrexham fan when he was a youngster, and played for Crew, who was only 23 miles from where we live. And I remember the whole 90 minutes, everybody just chanting abuse at Robbie Savage and loved it. It was a real shame, as you can tell. Not a lot in 30 years has changed with Robbie Savage, sadly.
Well, I haven't seen enough of him really, but I remember when his son made his debut in the Champions League, and him being happy for. But going back onto, you never forget your first away day. My first away day last season, Plymouth Argyle.
Wow, how far is that from Norwich?
It's further than Paris, where I'm going this weekend, to say the least. Yeah, 2-1 loss. Sam's corner ate it up. That's all I can say, really.
Well, you have to. What I would say is you have to enjoy the bad times. So you have to go through the bad times to enjoy the good times, and there'll be plenty of last-minute 1-0 wins and 2-1 wins for you over the years, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. So, getting on to, like, before we get on to, like, the stuff about the takeover, speaking of, the bad times, because, of course, Wrexham, you guys went through 15 years of bad times, but there was sort of, there was one that's, like, stuck out to me. I only saw it on a TikTok, but it sort of stuck out to me. I think it was the 18-19 season. I think it was during the days, I think it was Sam Ricketts and then Graham Burrow. You had, a relatively solid team in the National League. I can't name a lot of the players, but one that does stand out to me, just because I do think he's not only a top player, but also a top character. Mike Fondop, what a guy. What a guy.
Yeah, I remember Mike. So the Sam Ricketts saga was a bit of a joke. He left us to go to Shrewsbury, who are one of, if not our biggest rivals. So, and now he's working in a builder's merchant, so that really worked out for the guy, didn't it? But we did have a lot of money. We signed Mike Fondop, and I remember his flossing dance. So I think that was around that time the floss was coming around, and he scored, and he was doing the floss, and everybody kind of thought, if we don't have a footballer on our hands, we certainly got a character. And weirdly, Mike still lives in the town. He still lives in Wrexham. He's doing really well at Oldham.
Hey, scored a
one of my friends seen him in a restaurant the other night, and he still lives in Wrexham. He's like you say, he's doing really well at Oldham in League Two. So wish him well. But yeah, I try not to think back too much to them days because they were pretty bloody dark.
Fair enough. We'll get onto those, like soon, because I've written a bit of a statement just about that, which I'll get onto. It's a bit of a ramble, really. But onto the takeover, how it started. I mean, I remember I actually did, because during my research, I actually did a bit of homework, and I saw, do you still pinch yourself to, like, the idea, like, your club, your little local team is owned by two Hollywood stars in the shape of Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney? It's mental. I mean, it's even still. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I get asked that question probably 20 times a week. And yes, I mean, I the honest answer is I don't really have an answer. I still find myself pinching myself 5 years later. I remember the first time I got wind of it, and genuinely, obviously, like the rest of us, thought it was a hoax. Thought it was a bit of a prank. But yeah, I mean, listen, fast forward 5 years, I never in my wildest dreams thought that I'd see Wrexham playing in the Championship, spending £25-30 million on a squad. That is so far away from what I'm used to as a Wrexham fan of the Crew days and the walking into the stadiums in last-minute games against Blackpool. But yeah, I mean, of course I do, yeah. I think every Wrexham fan wakes up daily and pinches themselves. Listen, the outside football world, a lot of people like it. Majority of people want to see us fall flat on our face. That's football. I get that. If the shoe was on the other foot and it was Chester or Shrewsbury that would have had the fortune, then I would want exactly the same. I understand that. I don't really read too much into it. That's football rivalry. That's football banter. That's what the game's about. But yeah, in answer to your question, I've gotten to know these guys now on a personal level. They're friends now, and they're two of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. They're very humble. They only want the best for Wrexham, and not just the football team, but the people and Wales as a country. They really want to see Wales kick on, and yeah, they're just lovely guys. I mean, we've hit the jackpot with them, I get asked all the time, are they going to leave anytime soon? I mean, I don't pretend to know them well enough to answer that question, but what I would say is that at the moment, they've got their teeth into it, and they're desperate to get us to the very top. That might not be this season, it might not be next, but one thing's for sure is it will happen one day.
Oh, football friends! No, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it when you said, like, great friends. I'm sorry. Nah, it had to be done in between us. Sorry. But yeah, that is, getting to hang out with those guys and what they're doing. It's getting overlooked, which I'll talk about in a bit when I get onto that monologue. But also, one, like, relatively, more recent investor, a gentleman I had the pleasure to meet while I was at the racecourse, Eric Allen. Absolutely lovely guy when I met him, and John. And yeah, so what do you think how is his role sort of like different and like similar to Rob and Ryan's?
Yeah, again, so again, Eric, without name dropping, Eric's a good friend of ours now. He's, a very wealthy guy from upstate New York. He's retired. He's got a history of building up communities in that part of the world, non-profit, that kind of thing. He's made his money and he just wants to give a bit back, I think. So he got on board with Ryan and Rob about a year ago, maybe 15 months. I don't know his specific role. I know he's a minority owner, and I believe his remit, I think, is to help develop the town centre, so build stores. I think he's going to have a big say, both decision making and financially, in the new cop build, and all the regeneration work around the Mould Road, which is where the turf is, and the stadium and the cop stand. So he's come in, and I believe he's just going to be, one, a financial backer, and two, he's going to be there to help build the infrastructure of not just the football stadium, but the town itself. And like you said, you had the pleasure of meeting him. He's a remarkable, for such a wealthy guy. He could be a little bit snooty if he wanted to, but he's far from it. He's very, very down to earth. He's actually coming on our coach next week to Leicester City from the turf. He's been on our coach to Blackpool last year. Got drunk, bought around like any normal person. So we don't treat him any different. And I think he warms to that, mate, because a lot of these people will have people in their lives because they're wealthy that they want to maybe blow smoke up their backsides. People in Wrexham and all like that, they're very down to earth and they treat everybody equally. And he's warm to it. He's warm to the pub. He's warm to the fans. He's warm to the town. And like you said, an exceptionally nice man.
Hey, Eric, giving it large in the away end. We will be there. What top guy? What a bloke.
Oh yeah, completely lovely guy.
Going on to the subject of now, of course, Wrexham have started slightly slowly back in the Championship, and sure. I was just there with there's just like one, this does link to the next question actually. So over the last couple of days, there have been a lot of whispers and like rumours about the future of Phil Parkinson. Now, of course, I can imagine you've had the pleasure of meeting Phil quite a few times, and so as someone who's, I don't personally agree with the idea of just like sacking a manager. I mean, Man United could have, let Ruben Amorim go quite much quicker, but does that solve the problem, or does that just paper over cracks? Now, as someone who's not only met him but also has vast wealth of watching his football, how do you feel about this?
What I would say is, I'll tell you how I feel about my opinion in a second. What I would say about the so-called rumours about Phil Parkinson being sacked, it's absolutely ludicrous. There's nothing to it whatsoever. Yes, there are one or two rumbles in and around Wrexham, and when I say one or two, I mean one or two. I don't mean like 20% of the fan base. There is literally, so on our football forums, on our Facebook pages, on our Twitter pages, that kind of thing. If somebody even mentions the fact that Phil Parkinson should go, they very quickly get shot down. What I would say is, this is a man that has given us unprecedented success for the last 3 years. I mean, it's never been achieved. It's remarkable. Granted, he's had funds, but he's still got to send a team out there 3-4 years on a row and get promotion, and he's managed to do that. So what I would say is, I mean, I've read several pieces on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook about, from so-called journalists that say he's going to get the sack. It's absolute nonsense. There's no truth to it whatsoever, and neither should there be, because my opinion is, we are 5 games in, and with the exception of Queen's Park Rangers at the weekend, who thoroughly deserved to beat us, the other 4 games we were well and truly in them. We should have almost certainly got a point at Southampton. We should have definitely beat Sheffield Wednesday. We blew it, and this is all ifs, buts and maybe, but we can quite comfortably be sat on 8 or 9 points and around 9 for 10. On the backside of that, we've brought in 11 players. 8 of them players have not played for us yet. They're going to get game time in the next week or two. I would imagine the QPR 11 will look nothing like the 11 at Norwich. I think a lot of the new players are going to come in. There's probably going to be additions. And a month from now, once these players have settled in, I'm fully confident that Phil will have us. Listen, the football's never been pretty. What it is it's effective. He gets results. Regardless of... barring an absolute disaster run of, say, 10 defeats on the bounce, which will never happen. But if it did, then the conversation may arise. Until then, we've got 4 points. We've left 3 or 4 points out on the field. Got to get a handle of quickly. But yeah, I mean, listen, Phil Parkinson's going nowhere. Neither should he. If we were to sack Phil Parkinson, we would be the laughing stock of the football world, and rightfully so. We would deserve to be the laughing stock because the man's given us absolutely everything. Thankfully, we don't have knee-jerk owners, reaction owners. We don't have knee-jerk reaction chair people and CEOs and people that make the decisions at the top. They know what a job he's doing. They know that a couple of weeks from now, we've got a best 11 on the field and we'll start to pick up results. We'll kick up off the league. I'm not for 1 second suggesting we're going to push in and around the playoffs. I would be very, very surprised if come the end of the season we're in the bottom 6.
Yeah, so I'm glad to know that that's all just tosh now. I'm glad to know that. And can I just say, you talking about journalists sticking their nose where they don't belong, one newspaper that does particularly get on my nerves is The Sun. Honestly, I personally don't think that The Sun should be allowed to report on football at all.
Well, it's not a newspaper. It's a bloody comic. It's a joke.
Tabloid. Yeah. But also, just before I get on to the next point, I just want to say the one win you've got made me very, very happy, and it made the pod partner I'm usually with, who's not with us tonight because he actually plays darts now for a team. Big
okay.
Yeah, he's a Millwall fan.
Oh, poor guy.
But yeah, just on to another thing about management in the Championship. Of course, there is one team I think everyone would like to play right now, and a team that you've got a bit of an old feud with that will be reignited this season. I'm talking about Sheffield United. So yeah, now they have announced that they have reappointed Chris Wilder for the 3rd time. Now, yeah, it was a bit of a mess under Ruben Sells. Of course, that is sugarcoating it. Really, it was horrendous. Really, and with players like Michael Cooper and still Gustavo Hammer, and not Kiefer Moore, courtesy of Wrexham, they should just be doing much better. So, how do you think they'll maybe be sort of jump-started back to life by bringing back Wilder, or do you think things could potentially get worse or just stay in that slump?
No, I don't expect them to get worse. He's an incredible manager. I fully expect them to get better. What I would say on the initial sacking of him is it's an absolute farce. The guy lost in the playoff final last season and gets the bullet. I don't know, I'm guessing, but I think if you asked probably 95% of Sheffield United fans if they thought that decision was pathetic, they would say yes, because that is just a silly move. The people that make the decision at that football club have obviously got a lot to answer for. Clearly they wanted maybe a different style of football, or they went for something that they thought could maybe get them over the line. But Chris Wilder's an exceptional manager. They've lost 5 on the bouncers, everybody knows, but mark my words, they will be in and around the playoffs. He's that good of a manager. He will make that much of a difference. He will he'll rejuvenate them. He'll get everybody believing. He'll put Harmer back in the side because that's where he belongs, because he was on the bench when I watched him last week, which is just silly. He's one of the best players in the league. Listen, originally, terrible decision to sack him, terrible decision to put Sellers in charge, but just an incredible decision to get him back. I mean, I have to dip my cap to Chris, because he could have quite just said, stuff you, I'm not coming back for a 3rd time. You're quite happy to get rid of me. But no, he's a Sheffield United fan, man and boy. So he's obviously always going to answer their call. It's his club. A bit of a rivalry with them. Listen, the rivalry was blown out of proportion. So Billy Sharp is a bit of a fool. Actually, we beat somebody in a round of the FA Cup, and Ollie Palmer and Paul Mullin did the celebration that the striker at Spurs, Kim Jong-un, did. Oh. Billy Sharp took that as that we were already through and we were going to play Tottenham. That was never meant that. It was blown out of the way. And then he went off like a little baby after the Bramall Lane. And
oh, God, yeah, I remember that.
Was kicking off the tunnel and the changing rooms and all that. And I believe the documentary had some footage on him they would have liked to have shown because he was a clown. But
it was this, wasn't it?
This, yeah.
Yeah, that was Son's celebration.
And he took it that we'd already disrespected Sheffield United and that we were already through and that we were going to play Tottenham. It was never that. It was because Kim Jong-un said Son said that he had watched a documentary and he was a bit of a Wrexham fan. That's why they did it, and he took it the wrong way. So we had a bit of a nonsense rivalry with Sheffield United. But no, listen, I've got a lot of respect for them. They're a big club. They're probably, in my opinion, they're not a Premiership club, but they're a big chop championship club. And they've started poorly, but I fully expect them to kick on. And I wish Chris well, because every interview I listen to him, he speaks well. He's very courteous, very respectful. He's a great manager.
I was actually rather hoping you might bring up Billy Sharp in there. Now, I remember when I was watching that episode a couple of years ago, I was thinking, God, this guy's a bit pompous, don't you think? But now I've matured a bit, I realise, Billy Sharp is honestly one of those, you could to an extent say Brian Barclays, who's still playing these days. I remember watching him score against Kettering in the FA Cup last season for Doncaster, and he's a bit of a funny guy, but he's one of those people you can't help but like, in a way.
Yeah, but he's had a tough life, hasn't he? With the death of his boy and whatnot. He's had a real rough time of it. But listen, when you cross the line, you need to be professional. I know he's had a run-in with Parkinson a few times, but I don't want to dwell too much on Billy Sharp. He's had a great career, great player. Maybe just needs to conduct himself a little bit better in future.
Now, talking about another player that he had a bit of a rough season. Definitely, certainly a rough season last season. Paul Mullin. Now, probably feels like an eternity now since he was, ripping up the National League and then League 2 after that as well, absolutely insane player. And, seeing him struggle last season in the way that he did, it made me quite sad. It's like, seeing sort of a cult, because I can imagine you guys see him as a bit of a cult hero, and now he's on loan at Wigan. Like, do you think? I was one of the people who said give him a new contract. Do you think he'll ever play in a Wrexham shirt again?
I'd like to think so, yes, but in my heart of hearts, I'm going to say no. Mullin is he's more than a cult hero. He's absolutely revered in this part of the world. He's adored. He's got murals on buildings. He could walk through this town centre and never buy a meal or a pint again. He's absolutely adored, and we need to remember and not forget that we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today without him. So he's had a really he got injured in America, which was on the documentary, and I honestly believe that he never quite recovered from that. Then in the summer last year, sorry, he had back surgery and told me in person that he could barely even pull his socks up. So had he had them 2 full pre-seasons, I firmly believe he might have still been with us today in the Championship and been having a chance at it. I check the Wrexham results, obviously, if I'm not at the game. Well, I normally am at the game. And the first thing I do is check the Wigan score and see if he scored. I'm desperate for him, as are Wrexham fans, all Wrexham fans, desperate for him to do well. Let's not forget, he's still got 2 years left on his contract, and if he goes on a great spell and golden spell and tears up League One and gets 30 goals, then he's going to be an asset to us next year. So I say that more in hope than expectation. I hope he does well, but in answer to your question, sadly, I don't expect to see him in the Wrexham today.
If that is the case, then I guess just don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. It's one of those.
Absolutely that. Yeah, he gave us 4 wonderful years, and I wish him nothing but the best.
So the major point that I was hoping to get onto, this is the sort of monologue here, so just brace yourself. So I do genuinely believe that is because of people such as you, Wayne, that there's still a Wrexham knocking about. There's still a Wrexham AFC in the town. Those are 15 long old years, but still averaging 8,000, which for the National League, that's incredible. And yeah, week in, week out, through thick and thin, and it's through the thick and thin fans such as yourself that keep the club going, and also keep the town going as well. And just, have you seen Ted Lasso?
No, weirdly not. No. Wish I had the time.
Fair enough. Well, Rebecca Welton, who is the owner of Richmond, she does have quite an incredible character development, it does have to be said. And this quotation stuck out to me. Just because we own these teams doesn't mean they belong to us. And there's nothing more true than that. And honestly, I love the way how Rob and Ryan have taken that to heart, because, you know, they've improved the town, and now Eric's involved as well, you know, building infrastructure in the town. And when I went there, I was thinking, Wrexham's, you know, it's got a lot of things to it, more than just the football team. And, you know, of course, during the documentary, they did go around, you know, those local businesses, and that's what it's all about, really. And, you know, people may say that, you know, there are a lot of bandwagon jumpers, and it may feel a bit fake, and to an extent, with all due respect, you know, that may be true in a lot of ways, because a lot of people didn't know who or even what Wrexham was before the documentary happened. But who are they to romanticise something that they wish was happening to their club? Just as, you know, Stumpeg said a couple of years back, the success, in my opinion, just, you know, not only to the people who've, you know, helped, you know, grow the community abroad, because, you know, I mean, having fans in all corners of the globe, that is pretty cool in its own right. But, you know, it's for all the people, you know, went through all those years of heartache and now just cannot believe what they're seeing. And from the outer rim of the National League, as it was said on I think it was the Instagram when they did that Star Wars thing to announce all the fixtures, you know, the heights of the Football League, and also hosting Kings of Leon as well, and also having Declan Swans doing the support act, that's pretty bloody cool, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Listen, thank you for your kind words. There are tens of thousands of people, well, there's certainly thousands of people that have done a lot more for Wrexham Football Club than I ever could. I'm just one of a lot of people that kept the club going, helped keep the club going. But it's very nice here to say that there are people that are no longer with us that I genuinely wish could have been here to see this last 4 years, and hopefully the next 4 or 14 or 24 that are ahead of us, however long this fairy tale may continue for. But you're right. Rob and Ryan often refer to themselves as custodians of the football club, not owners, because it never does belong to any one owner, any group of people. It always belongs to the people. And you know, you've seen with the likes of Bury, and you almost nearly seen with the likes of Morecambe. You know, you see Sheffield Wednesday going through the mire now, a wonderful, historic, massive football club like Sheffield Wednesday, to be struggling by a shady owner who sits in a beach in Thailand. It's just ludicrous. We've been there ourselves. So you're right again when you say not a lot of people were aware of Wrexham. And I quote Rob in the show when he says, you might not have heard of Wrexham Football Club, but you will. And I think he's true. I think now the world does know about Wrexham Football Club. A lot of people might not like that, especially our rivals, but the world does know about Wrexham Football Club. We are one of the biggest growing football clubs in the world now, certainly one of the most talked about. But we always have to remember our roots. We always have to remember that the football club is for the people, not just in America, but the people especially in Wrexham and the people in around North Wales, and the people that help keep this club on an even keel. The Wrexham Supporters Trust, who stepped in when we nearly went bust, who volunteered to keep the club going. These people make me proud every day to be a Wrexham fan, because they live and breathe the team and the football club and the town, the people. So, yeah, listen, thank you for your kind words. We've been through the mire for 20 years. A lot of people tend to forget that when they're ridiculing us or taking the mickey out of us. You know, we had people putting the deeds for their houses on the line just to keep the football club afloat. So, yeah, it's easy to mock and be jealous of the current success. But if you're going to do it, maybe just have a little bit of background on where we've been as a club and how we've nearly gone out of existence several times. So, yeah, we've had the bad times, but one thing's for sure, we're sure as heck going to enjoy the good times.
Of course, as you deserve to. And now, but hopefully you don't, with all due respect, I hope you don't get a good time at Carrow Road. Oh, God, here we go. Right.
Where's the off button?
Here we go. A fixture that no one would guess would be a championship fixture, probably in 2017. Norwich City versus Wrexham. Okay, here we go. Now, one Wrexham player that does particularly frighten me is Josh Windass, because he scored 2 against us when he was with Wednesday, one of which in which we were 2-0 up at home and then lost 3-2, which that was not great.
Well, I would take that Saturday from my point of view.
So yeah, how do you like if you've done like a fair bit of research, which I can imagine you do, how do you feel about how Norwich have started, and how can you see this one going?
Yeah, well, I'm not just saying this. I've got a massive, huge amount of respect for Norwich. Weirdly, I've always sort of, I don't know why I've said this on a podcast, which I'm doing after you actually again, but I said this, that growing up, I always seem to remember the likes of Darren Huckabee and Craig Bellamy playing for Norwich, and I always remember looking at their crowds and seeing sellouts, and yeah, so I've always had a lot of respect for Norwich, and I'm really excited to go there Saturday because it's a ground, obviously, being in the National League, I've not had the chance to go to, so... yeah, but listen, you know, obviously Sargent's going to be a threat. It's going to be a huge threat. I mean, I've been keeping my eye on your results. I seen you were very, very, very unfortunate at the weekend not to get the win.
Yeah.
In the last couple of seconds. I'm under no illusions that Saturday is going to be very difficult. It's a 450-mile round journey for me to drive. I'll be up at 6 o'clock with my wife. We'll be driving straight down. We have to come, but we're going to stay over. We plan to stay over, but I've got some staff on holiday, so I've got to cover work when I get back. So I'm there and back in the same day. I go there in hope more than expectation. I hope we can get a result of any kind. Listen, what I would say is we certainly won't underestimate Norwich. However, we won't go there with any fear. You know, I don't believe Phil goes there with any fear. We've assembled a £30-odd million. We just need to utilise them. Do I expect us to get a result? I would snap your hand off for a draw. I know Norwich wouldn't be happy with that. I would for a draw. I would take the 450-mile, 12-hour journey for 1 point, is what I'm saying. And who knows, you know, I think for Wrexham, our season's probably going to be defined on our home form. We need to try and get a point away from home. If you're asking me now for a prediction, I'm going to go 1-1, and I would be elated with that.
Just 2 points, because we know we're running out of time here. First of all, going on talking about how you don't want to underestimate us, and I appreciate that, because the thing is though, people underestimate clubs like Norwich and Wrexham all the time. They're there for years. Man City underestimated Norwich in 2019, and what happens? Let me think. I think it was Kenny McLean, who's still here. Absolutely love him. What a guy. Tokama and Temi Pukki. 3-2. Mental that. And, you know, Wrexham, of course. I think, you know, Coventry a couple of years ago in the FA Cup might have, you know, underestimated Wrexham a bit and lost 4-3 at home. So I appreciate that. And second of all, I just really, really think we need a win at home. We were unlucky to not get the win at the weekend, I thought. But, you know, I think it was just more of us. We were on the back foot for pretty much the entire game after Kviskorum scored his first goal, which I was very happy with. Thing is, though, you know what doesn't make sense? Now, last season, you know how... I mean, this has happened with Wrexham, of course. You know how your club is always notorious for just being horrendous on the road.
Yes, sadly I do. I've learned that the hard way.
Well, now, somehow, we've picked up more points on the road than we have at home.
Well, I really hope that continues at the weekend as well, if I'm honest.
But, yeah, I apologise once again that I can't be there. Unfortunately, I am on a bit of an excursion. It's a school trip to Paris. Nice. Which, honestly, if you gave me the chance, to flog off the trip to Paris and be there with you lot, you know, and, you know, just see you lot singing the away end, I'll take it. 10 days a week. Actually, no, 8 days a week. I'm trying to...
Yeah, I like it. Nice reference.
But it's a frustrating one. But I will do my absolute best to be there on the 17th of January for.
Well, look here. If you struggle to get a ticket in the away end, I'm sure we can sort you one in the home end. You can come and sit with us.
Thank you so much. I'd absolutely love that. I won't be able to wear that, and if I do, I'll cover it up.
Yeah, well, maybe not wear the shirt, but listen, the Wrexham are a friendly bunch. They'll welcome you with open arms. Just maybe don't celebrate too loudly if you go 1 or 2-0 up.
Got it. I won't. Can't make any promises. I'm joking. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much all that we've got time for. This has been an absolutely lovely one tonight. Wayne, thank you so much for coming on tonight. This has been an absolute pleasure. I'm really, really hoping this does well. And yeah, I can't wait for Saturday. I'll be seeing if I can I'll track it. I'll be tracking every minute. Of course. Well, listen, thank you for the lovely conversation. I wish Norwich all the best after Saturday and on January 17th. And good luck for the season. Genuinely wish you all the best. And listen, go and enjoy Paris. Hey, thanks. Okay, right. Thanks very much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe to just help us grow. Just get us to we're 4 away from 200 now. Come on, let's go over the line tonight, shall we? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.